Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror is a 1922 silent German expressionist vampire film directed by F.W. Murnau, a director famous for the well-regarded film Sunrise, co-winner of the first Best Picture prize at the Academy Awards. It's about a vampire who preys on the wife of his estate agent and brings the plague to their town. The movie is an unauthorized and unofficial adaptation of Bram Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula. Various names and other details were changed from the novel, including Count Dracula being renamed Count Orlok, then finally Nosferatu, an archaic Romanian word with a suggested etymology of Nesuferitu, meaning the offensive one, or the insufferable one. Even with several details altered, Stoker's heirs sued over the adaptation, and a court ruling ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed. However, several prints of Nosferatu survived, and the film came to be regarded as an influential masterpiece of cinema and the horror genre. Critic and historian Kim Newman declared it as a film that set the template for the genre of horror film. Nosferatu has been noted for its themes regarding fear of the other, as well as for possible anti-Semitic undertones, both of which may have been partially derived from the Bram Stoker novel Dracula, upon which the film was based. The physical appearance of Count Orlok, with his hooked nose, long claw-like fingernails, and large bald head, has been compared to stereotypical caricatures of Jewish people from the time in which Nosferatu was produced. His features have also been compared to those of a rat or a mouse, the former of which Jews were often equated with. Orlok's interest in acquiring property in the German town of Wisborg, a shift in locale from the Stoker novel's London, has been analyzed as preying on the fears and anxieties of German public at the time. When the foreign Orlok arrives in Wisborg by ship, he brings with him a swarm of rats which, in a deviation from the source novel, spread the plague throughout the town. This plot element further associates Orlok with rodents and the idea of the Jew as disease-causing agent. It is also notable that Orlok's accomplice in conspiracy Knock is a Jewish realtor. There were other views, however. Writer Kevin Jackson has noted that director F.W. Murnau was friendly with and protective of a number of Jewish men and women throughout his life, including Jewish actor Alexander Granach, who plays Knock in Nosferatu. Additionally, it was wrote that Murnau, being a homosexual, would have been presumably more sensitive to the persecution of a subgroup inside the larger German society. As such, it has been said that perceived associations between Orlok and anti-Semitic stereotypes are unlikely to have been conscious decisions on the part of Murnau. Nosferatu was also the first film to show a vampire dying from exposure to sunlight. Previous novels, such as Dracula, had shown them being uncomfortable with sunlight, but not death-threateningly so. Now to the review, but before that, let me get to the drink I'm drinking so that I can talk in front of a camera. The drink this week is red wine, which I have tried because it's like blood. Red wine is like blood. It's in a lot of things. Christians also, it's blood. I'm drinking blood. Blood's the thing today. I'm drinking blood today. I'm drinking blood. And so I'll try blood now. Oh, tastes like wine. In the 1830s, estate agent Thomas Hutter travels to Transylvania for a fateful meeting with Count Orlok, a prospective client. In his absence, Hutter's new bride, Ellen, is left under the care of their friends Friedrich and Anna Harding. Plagued by horrific visions and an increasing sense of dread, Ellen soon encounters an evil force that's far beyond her control. We get caught up as film fans on the idea that cinema is dying, that exciting and creative pieces cease to exist, that everything is going to hell. Well, it is. But in some ways it isn't. If anything, this year has taught me what safe hands we have guiding us through the next decade of film, with names such as Sean Baker, Denis Villeneuve, Luca Guadagnino, Brady Corbet, and of course Robert Eggers there to continue the filmmaking tradition. When we compare the past to today, we tend to use the best films from before as the barometers for the aggregate of films now. It's not the best comparison because for every classic that there was before, there were 50 mediocre films that everyone's forgotten about. Not to say there aren't any real issues going on in cinema, but in many ways the art form is better now than it ever was. Nosferatu is a great example of the power of cinema today. A film with such complete attention to detail, the product is staggering from start to finish. Before I talk about anything, I want to talk about the sound. It's honestly rare for me to come out of a film thinking in that direction, but I think that's just a testament to the way that Robert Eggers crafts such a remarkable atmosphere. The effects are exaggerated here, with every twist of a doorknob or squeak of a rat heightened to the point where your senses are overloaded. It's a film that relies on your anxiety to terrify you more than your overall fear, which I think is well documented at this point that those are the ones that really stick with you. Eggers handles these sounds with great care in a way that a writer would preside over their dialogue. It enhances everything that's going on, especially the superb voice of Nosferatu himself. Bill Skarsgård continues to raise the bar for what I expect of him, and even though he was aided by a remarkable art department here, his commitment to the character and his ability to change his voice made this one of my favorite performances of the year. He was deathly creepy, and he was able to maintain the ever impossible threat of being terrifying even though he had so many minutes of screen time. His scenes with Nicholas Hoult were like a run-in with death itself, the way the film was almost losing consciousness. And Nicholas Hoult's an actor where I can safely say I haven't been much impressed with him. Many of the characters he plays are the straight man, not much to do, and his personality doesn't really add anything to it to suck me in. He's clearly a great guy and a real professional because he seems to work on so many great projects, and the choice in the projects he makes are just ridiculously good. This is the best role I've seen him in, one where he's more hot and bothered than he's ever been, and his chemistry with Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp are just fantastic here. I wouldn't say anything about this performance excited me, but I would say that he is a great listener and he makes the performances around him better. It's hard to call a guy overrated because he's a person and he picks great artistic projects and he makes good decisions, but I just don't understand why so many significant auteurs want to work with him. And while I'm on the hate train, I think I'll throw Aaron Taylor Johnson on the tracks as well. He's good here, he's very good, but I don't think he's on the level of his contemporaries. Unless he makes some significant changes, this feels like the ceiling of his ability acting-wise. I just haven't seen any serious charisma or skill from him in the decade that I've been watching. Easily the most surprising performance, though, was Lily Rose Depp. She absolutely nailed the performance she was given. And while the movie wasn't as centered around her as I thought it would be, she was so mesmerizing with the time she had, it went beyond her screen time. She took some major swings for the part in a way that, in a different director's fingertips, could end in disaster. It shows incredible trust in Eggers that she would go this far, and the way she contorts her body adds so much to the role. In her scenes with Nicholas Hoult and with Bill Skarsgård, there was so much going on behind her eyes and you could see the complexity of her thoughts. She was powerful and nuanced. She was the emotional force of the film. I'd say she's a significant part of why this movie was successful, and I think she gave one of the great performances of the year. I don't have much to say about Willem Dafoe. He's great here as he is everywhere. I think it's funny that this is one of the tamest performances that I've seen from him lately, and his role is anything but tame. This movie is such a good example of how to adapt a text as well. It clearly has such a reverence for the original source material, and yet it adds so many layers that the original authors may not have even thought of. Particularly the feminist angle and the way in which they delve into the shame that women receive for any sort of physical intimacy, whether it be consensual or not. The mixture of love and lust and abuse, the way that these three toil with each other, feelings are so expertly explored. The way in which the film enhances these themes, from the sets to the music to the cinematography, it's nothing short of brilliant. Eggers uses that's a tongue twister. Eggers uses shadows that I haven't seen before in subtle ways that I just love. Teeth and smiles, bright smiles, look so menacing in the light. The color palette they used has an opportunity to look bland or gimmicky, but through carefully crafted candles or interesting props or dynamic camera movements, it makes the visuals just so striking. I understand it's a limit I put on myself, but it can be hard to walk out of a theater and have my thoughts fully formed right away. In the case of some films, like this film, there's so much to chew on and digest. It's a film that I feel like will grow on me the more I think about it, but for now, I'm going to give it an Oogway and a Squirt. Definitely a Squirt. So that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a very scary gothic weekend. I hope you can find your Nicholas Hoult to your... Well, I hope you make it through life okay. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Because there's creepy vampires that can come after you. And if you're into that sort of thing, that's on you. That's you do you, There's so many options you can have. And Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, if that's what you're going for, good on you, man. I mean, I understand. People like the mustache. People were saying there was never a Dracula ever that had a mustache until Bill Skarsgård, and which is apparently what he was in the books. So good for them for doing that. That's very important that I think mustaches get seen and heard. But before I go, I'm just gonna say nothing. I'm gonna say goodbye.